Welcome to a deep dive into the world of XRP. It's been making headlines with its recent price surge, and we're going to go beyond the headlines and really understand what's driving that momentum. We've got a fascinating mix of sources today: podcast discussions, market analysis. It's going to give us a lot of different angles to consider.
Yeah, it really feels like we're piecing together a puzzle, doesn't it? We've got these pieces of information, price jumps, the news about institutions adopting it, and we're trying to figure out how they all connect to paint a bigger picture.
Okay, let's unpack that. I think the
Mhm.
first question on everyone's mind is, why is the price jumping so much?
Well, the sources point to a few key things happening at the same time. First, you've got some positive legal developments. In Ripple's case with the SEC, that's definitely reduced some uncertainty for investors.
Right, and that seems to be attracting institutional interest. The sources mention companies like Tranglo and SBI Remit specifically. What makes them so important in this story?
Well, Tranglo and SBI Remit are major players in the world of cross-border payments. And their adoption of Ripple's on-demand liquidity, or ODL as it's often called, that's a really big deal. It signals that these big institutions, they're seeing the real-world value of XRP and the technology behind it.
And what's fascinating to me is that this adoption is happening even with that ongoing SEC case. It's like they're saying, we see the potential,
Mhm.
and we're not going to wait on the sidelines.
Exactly. And this actually connects to another key factor driving this surge, ISO 2022.
Oh yeah, that term pops up a lot in the sources. It kind of sounds like a magic spell for crypto. But I have to admit, I don't really fully understand what it means.
Well, think of it as like a universal language. For financial institutions, right now, different banks and payment systems, they use all these different messaging formats. It creates a lot of friction, slows things down. ISO 2022 is like establishing this common language everyone can understand. It just makes everything much smoother and efficient.
So it's like trying to send a text message. But everyone has a different phone operating system. Total chaos.
Precisely. And here's the thing. XRP is designed to be compatible with ISO 2022. So as more institutions adopt this standard, XRP is really well positioned to play a central role in all this, facilitating those seamless cross-border payments.
So XRP is not just riding this current wave, it's setting itself up for long-term success. In a world where financial systems are becoming more and more interconnected.
Absolutely. That's a key takeaway here. This ISO 2022 integration, it's not just some buzzword. It's a really fundamental shift that could reshape the landscape of global finance.
It seems like Ripple is really strategically positioning itself to be a leader in that transformation. But let's shift gears for a moment and talk about Ripple's on-demand liquidity solution. We mentioned Tranglo and SBI Remit are using it, but what makes it so attractive to these big players?
Well, ODL addresses a major pain point for cross-border payments. That's pre-funding. Traditionally, companies had to keep accounts in all these different countries, and that ties up their capital and adds a lot of complexity. ODL uses XRP to get rid of that pre-funding need.
So instead of having like separate wallets for every currency, you can just use XRP as a bridge.
Exactly. Let's say you want to send money from the US to Japan. With ODL, you can send XRP. And on the other end, it gets instantly converted to Japanese yen. This makes the whole process so much faster and cheaper and more efficient.
It's like having a universal travel adapter for your money. No more fumbling with different plugs and converters.
Yeah.
And speaking of moving money, the sources also mentioned significant whale activity in the XRP market. I have to admit, that conjures up some interesting imagery in my mind.
Yeah. Whales in the crypto world are these individuals or entities holding huge amounts of a particular cryptocurrency, and their moves can sometimes signal a lot of confidence in the asset, or in other cases, it's just portfolio management.
So is it like watching for migrating whales to figure out where the best feeding grounds are?
Well, it's not always that straightforward. Where activity can be interpreted in many ways. But in the context of this current XRP surge, it's another piece of the puzzle, that suggests growing interest from those major players.
So we've got positive legal developments, institutional adoption of OVL, and even whales making waves, all contributing to this XRP momentum. But it's not all smooth sailing, right? There are still risks to consider.
Absolutely. Even with all this positive news, the SEC case is still ongoing, and that creates a level of uncertainty. And like any investment, especially in the crypto market, volatility is always a factor.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. You need a strong stomach to ride those crypto waves.
And finally, we can't ignore the competition out there. Ripple isn't the only one vying for the top spot in the cross-border payment space. Other crypto projects, and even established financial institutions, they're all developing their own solutions.
It's a race to the future of finance, and
Right.
there are a lot of strong contenders. So even with all this positive momentum, there's no guarantee that XRP will be the ultimate winner.
That's an important point. It's not about predicting the future with certainty. It's about understanding the complexities and weighing the potential risks and rewards.
So you're saying it's essential for anyone interested in XRP to do their own research and make informed decisions based on a clear understanding of the landscape.
Absolutely. And that research should go beyond the price action. It's about understanding the technology, the team behind it, the partnerships, the regulatory environment, and the overall vision.
It's like evaluating a company before investing in its stock. You need to look at the fundamentals, not just the hype.
Exactly. And speaking of evaluating fundamentals, we haven't talked much about market sentiment and technical analysis, two tools that investors often use to try to gauge the health and direction of an asset.
Yes, market sentiment, it's like trying to read the collective mood of the crowd.
Yeah.
But how do you actually measure something as intangible as sentiment?
Well, it's a bit of an art and a science. Analysts look at a lot of factors, like social media, chatter, news coverage, even the tone of online discussions, to get a sense of how people are feeling about a particular asset.
So it's like taking the temperature of the crypto community to see if they're feeling bullish or bearish. And what about technical analysis? Is that where we start looking at charts and patterns, like those cryptic hieroglyphics I see on trading websites?
Well, technical analysis involves studying price charts and trading volumes to identify trends and try to predict future price movements.
So it's like trying to decipher the secret code hidden within the price fluctuations.
In a way, yes. Technical analysts look for patterns, support and resistance levels, and other indicators that might suggest where the price is headed next.
But even with all that analysis, it still feels like predicting the future of crypto. It's a bit like predicting the weather. You can look at all the data, but there are always surprises.
You're right. The crypto market is notoriously unpredictable, and there will always be unexpected events that defy even the most sophisticated analysis.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure. But let's zoom out for a moment and bring it back to our listener. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the reasons behind that XRP price surge to the potential risks and challenges. What are the key takeaways we want to leave you with today?
I think the most important message is that XRP is at a really pivotal point in its journey. It's positioned to play a major role in the future of global finance. But there are still some hurdles to overcome.
It's like XRP is standing at this crossroads. One path leads to mainstream adoption, widespread use. The other path leads to more regulatory scrutiny and potential setbacks.
And which path it ultimately takes depends on a really complex interplay of factors: technological innovation, regulatory developments, market dynamics, and of course the choices that people and institutions make.
So it's a story that's still being written. One thing is clear: XRP is a force to be reckoned with, and its journey is one worth watching closely.
It's been generating a lot of buzz, hasn't it? The New York Department of Financial Services, or NYDFS as it's known, just approved Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD.
And that's a pretty big deal, right? It's not just another stablecoin entering the market.
You're absolutely right. Getting the green light from NYDFS is significant. They're known for being one of the strictest regulators, especially in the U.S. So this approval really lends a lot of credibility to RLUSD, and it shows Ripple's commitment to regulatory compliance.
So it's a stamp of approval that could set RLUSD apart. But what makes RLUSD unique? What are its key selling points?
Well, one of the most compelling aspects of RLUSD is its native ISO 2022 compliance. It's built from the ground up to integrate seamlessly with this emerging global standard for financial messaging.
So it's like RLUSD is fluent in that universal language of finance we were talking about earlier, while other stablecoins might still be learning the basics.
Exactly. This gives RLUSD a big advantage in a world that's moving towards greater interoperability between all these different financial systems. And it really ties back to Ripple's vision of creating a more efficient and accessible global financial network.
So they're not just launching a stablecoin, they're building a key component of this larger ecosystem. It's like adding another piece to that puzzle we're putting together. But before we get too carried away, with all this excitement around XRP, we need to circle back to those potential risks you mentioned earlier.
You're right. It's important to maintain a balanced perspective. While there's a lot to be optimistic about, there are still some challenges and uncertainties surrounding XRP.
So what are those storm clouds on the horizon that we need to be aware of?
Well, first and foremost, the regulatory landscape is still evolving. The outcome of Ripple's case with the SEC could have big implications for XRP.
It's like this legal battle is casting a shadow. over the entire XRP ecosystem.
Precisely. And until there's a resolution, it's something investors need to consider carefully. Another risk, of course, is the inherent volatility of the crypto market. XRP, like other cryptocurrencies, it's prone to those price swings.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart. You need a strong stomach to ride those crypto waves.
And finally, we can't ignore the competitive landscape. Ripple isn't the only player out there vying for dominance in that cross-border payment space. You've got other crypto projects, and even those established financial institutions, they're developing their own solutions.
It's a race to the future of finance.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of strong contenders. So even with all the positive momentum, there's no guarantee that XRP will be the ultimate winner.
That's a really important point. It's not about predicting the future with certainty. It's more about understanding the complexities and weighing those potential risks and rewards.
So you're saying it's essential for anyone interested in XRP to do their own research.
Yeah.
And make informed decisions based on a clear understanding of the landscape.
Absolutely. And that research should go beyond just looking at the price. It's about understanding the technology, the team, the partnerships, the regulatory environment, and the overall vision.
It's like evaluating a company before investing in its stock. You need to look at the fundamentals, not just the hype.
Exactly. And speaking of evaluating fundamentals, we haven't really talked about market sentiment and technical analysis. These are two tools that investors often use to try to gauge the health and direction of an asset.
Ah, yes. Market sentiment. It's like trying to read the collective mood of the crowd. But how do you actually measure something as intangible as sentiment?
It's a bit of an art and a science. Analysts look at all sorts of factors, like social media chatter, news coverage, even the tone of online discussions, to get a feel for how people are feeling about a particular asset.
So it's like taking the temperature of the crypto community to see if they're feeling bullish or bearish. And what about technical analysis? Is that where we start looking at charts and patterns, like those cryptic hieroglyphics I see on trading websites?
Well, technical analysis involves studying price charts and trading volumes to try to identify trends and potentially predict future price movements.
So it's like trying to decipher the secret code hidden within the price fluctuations.
You could say that. Technical analysts look for patterns, support and resistance levels, and other indicators. That might suggest where the price is headed next.
But even with all that analysis, it still feels like predicting the future of crypto. It's kind of like predicting the weather. You can look at all the data, but there are always surprises.
You're absolutely right. The crypto market is known for being unpredictable, and there will always be those unexpected events that can defy even the most sophisticated analysis.
It's a wild ride, that's for sure. But let's zoom out for a moment and bring it back to our listener. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the reasons behind that XRP price surge to the potential risks and challenges. What are the key takeaways we want to leave you with today?
I think the most important message is this. XRP is at a really pivotal point. It's got the potential to play a major role in the future of global finance, but there are still some hurdles to overcome.
It's like XRP is standing at a crossroads. One path leads to mainstream adoption and wide use. The other path leads to more regulatory scrutiny and setbacks.
And which path it takes depends on a really complex mix of factors: technological innovation, regulatory developments, market dynamics, and of course the choices that people and institutions make.
So it's a story that's still being written, but one thing is clear: XRP is a force to be reckoned with, and its journey is worth watching.
Absolutely.
Well, we've explored the forces driving XRP's price surge. We've talked about ISO 2022 integration and how that could change global finance. We've looked at the excitement around Ripple's ODL solution and the adoption by companies like Tranglo and SBI Remit. We even dove into the world of whale activity and the launch of Ripple's stablecoin RLUSD. But now I'm curious, what stands out to you most in all of this?
You know what I find fascinating is that XRP isn't just riding this wave of hype, it's strategically positioning itself for a future where those lines between traditional finance and the crypto world, they become increasingly blurred.
You're right. It's not just about the price. It's about that underlying vision and the steps Ripple is taking to make that vision happen.
Exactly. They're building an ecosystem, they're making partnerships, they're navigating that tricky regulatory landscape, and they're trying to solve real problems in the financial system.
And they're doing all this while facing this big legal challenge from the SEC. It's a bold move, to say the least.
It definitely is. And that's what makes this story so interesting. The stakes are high. There's uncertainty, there's risk, but there's also this huge potential for disruption and innovation.
It's like watching a high-stakes poker game. You're never quite sure who's going to win.
And that's the beauty of this space. It's dynamic, it's unpredictable, and it's always changing.
So where does this leave our listener? What should they be thinking about after this deep dive into the world of XRP?
I think the takeaway is XRP is this fascinating case study in how cryptocurrency is really pushing the boundaries of finance. It's a story of innovation, ambition, resilience, but it's a story that's not finished yet.
So it's not about making predictions
Uh,
or giving financial advice. It's about giving you the knowledge and insights to understand what's happening and to draw your own conclusions.
Exactly. We've tried to give you the pieces of the puzzle. Now it's up to you to put them together and decide what that picture means for you.
Maybe even add a few pieces of your own. As you keep exploring this world of crypto, it's a vast and ever-changing landscape, and we've only just scratched the surface.
That's right. Stay curious, stay informed, and enjoy the journey.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of XRP. Until next time, happy exploring.
It's really about taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not just about whether XRP is going to go up or down tomorrow. It's about understanding how this technology, this whole ecosystem,
Yeah.
is potentially changing the way we think about money and the way we move it around the world.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes XRP so compelling to watch. It's at the forefront of this financial revolution, and it's forcing us to ask some really big questions.
Like, what does the future of finance look like? What role will cryptocurrencies play? How will these new technologies impact our lives?
Those are the questions we need to be grappling with. And XRP is giving us a glimpse of what that future might hold.
So even if you're not invested in XRP, or any cryptocurrency for that matter, this is a story worth paying attention to because it's about so much more than just, making money.
It's about the evolution of our financial systems and the potential for a more inclusive and efficient global economy.
And that's something that affects all of us, regardless of where we live or how we manage our finances.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. The world of finance is changing rapidly, and XRP is right there at the center of that change.
It's a story that's unfolding in real time, and we're all witnesses to it. Thanks for joining us on this journey. We'll see you next time.